What is up, fellow Bulls fans? Welcome to the Bulls on the Run podcast, coming at you with a new video. But before we get into the video, please remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and also turn on the notification bell so that you can be in the loop for weekly Bulls content. So I have a very special video for you all. It's a hot take video. I wanted to just give my take on Patrick Williams and the starting power forward position. So we've seen 3 games of the newly formed Chicago Bulls team. Well, of course, they betted on continuity in the offseason, but they were able to acquire 2 extra players in Dragic and Drummond. And from the first 3 games, they were able to give us good production, especially Andre Drummond. Now, in those 3 games, the Bulls are 2-1. We have our next game Tuesday, actually tomorrow, against the Milwaukee Bucks at home. So from the 3 games that we've seen, the Bulls have very much so improved their transition offense. They've been moving the ball. They didn't move the ball as much in the first game, but the last 2 games, especially the Denver Nuggets game, the ball was more fluid. The ball was moving. It wasn't as stagnant as we've seen in the past with this team. So I believe that the power forward position, especially the starting power forward position, is a very key component of that ball movement in that rotation, because the Bulls actually have some very athletic power forwards. We have players, of course, we have Patrick Williams. We got Javonte Green, who started the majority of last season as our power forward, even though he's undersized for a power forward. And then we also have Derrick Jones Jr., who also is a good rotational power forward, who's also very athletic. So the Bulls, I believe that the Bulls should continue to run Patrick Williams on the bench and allow Javonte Green to be our starting power forward. Now, before I get to heat, Bulls fans, just listen to me. Listen to what I have to say. The reason why I believe that Patrick Williams should come off the bench is because from the games that we've seen so far, I mean, he hasn't received a lot of touches for us to be able to see what he can do on the offensive end. But I believe that if he comes off the bench, it would allow us to have another scorer who we can rely on coming off the bench, and also another defender. Because if you notice, Patrick Williams, he seems to have been working on his ball handling, his shot creation, his pull-up J, his interior game. He seemed to have worked on those abilities during the offseason. So it would be best for him to come off the bench to start the season so that we can slowly see him improve his offensive game, having the ball more in his hands off the bench versus him starting and allowing him to be more of a shot creator. The reason why is because Javonte Green has shown progression within his 3-point shot. I believe that the reason why Patrick Williams was starting is because, of course, he's younger, he has more upside, but he is a more consistent 3-point shooter when spotting up in the corner. But from the games that we've seen, Javonte Green has been very much so showing that he has improved his jumper, his corner shot especially. So if you move Patrick Williams to the bench, give him all of the minutes, and allow Javonte Green to start, it allows Patrick Williams to be more of a ball handler. It allows him to be more of a facilitator on the bench. He has the opportunity to develop and play with some of our younger players in Dalen Terry, and also playing with Dalen Terry, but not only Dalen Terry, but also playing with players like Kobe White. I believe Ayo Dosunmu will be starting. I'm not sure how they will stagger the lineups when the season starts, but it will allow him to play with those younger players, to allow him to build that chemistry, and also allow him to work more on his offensive game. When we have Javonte Green in the starting lineups, Javonte Green has actually allowed this team to be better on the break, have a better toughness about themselves. If you notice from the first 3 games, especially the Raptors game that we had yesterday, the Bulls actually scored, I believe, 24 fast break points with Javonte Green as our starting player. In the first game that we had Javonte Green against the Pelicans, he was coming off the bench. But I believe, let's see, in that game, he actually scored, He scored 18 points coming off the bench. Now, that was good production from him. But when we had Patrick Williams in the starting lineups, Patrick Williams he was 2 for 7 from the field. He only took 2 shots, and he had 5 points in the starting lineups. Javonte Green ended up getting the chunk of the minutes because of how well he was playing. But Patrick Williams took 7 shots, but he only scored 5 points of those 7 shots that he had. But in that Denver game that we had, Patrick Williams was actually coming off the bench. He was able to put up 11 points, shooting 4 for 6 from the field. That was actually his best performance in the preseason so far. But Javonte Green, when he was starting, he gave us 15 points. He hit all 3 of his 3-pointers, 5 for 7 from the field. And that was the game that the Bulls the ball was moving better. It was more transition play. The Bulls actually scored as a team. The Bulls actually scored, they scored 23 fast break points. Of course, that's less from the first game, but the ball was moving a lot better. Transition play was up. Green was getting a lot more open looks because of how well DeMar DeRozan was playing in that game, with DeMar DeRozan putting up 22 points in that game. So if you have a consistent 3-point threat in the corner, slashing, he's a better slasher. Javonte Green is a better slasher, I believe, than Patrick Williams. He's more athletic as far as his leaping ability, his ability to slash to the basket. Of course, Patrick Williams is a bigger, more stronger, versatile player on the defensive end, but Javonte Green is more athletic when it comes to him slashing to the basket, drawing contact, dunking on players. And even this year, from the 3 games that we've seen, he has a better 3-point shot. And the energy of the team improves when Javonte Green is in the lineups. This is why I'm saying that Javonte Green should start as our power forward in the beginning of the season, even though he's undersized. But Patrick Williams should come off the bench to allow him to get familiar with playing in the rotation, having the ball, being more of a shot creator, and creating his own shot, not only just spotting up in the corner. Because from the games, even last year, from the games that we saw Patrick Williams playing, he does not get the opportunity to create his own shot when he's in the starting lineups. If he comes off the bench with some of the young players, it would allow him to get familiar with playing that way and allow him to be the best player on the floor, essentially, if he develops into a good offensive player. Then once he gets familiar with the team, the bench players, and coming off the bench, and his ability to create his own shot, then that's when, as the season progresses, you can move him into the starting lineups, depending on how well Javonte Green gives you that production as our starting power forward. Now, I know he's undersized. I know that Patrick Williams is a bigger body. I know these things, but it gives Patrick Williams the ability to develop as an offensive player. Because we've seen many of times him start and he just sits in the corner. He's very stagnant on offense. He doesn't seem like he's engaged in the offense. But if you allow him to come off the bench and get familiar with those young players who's trying to make a name for themselves, it allows him to get that confidence to be a shot creator. That's really the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and I hope everyone have a good day. I'm excited for the Bulls game tomorrow against the Bucks. Stay tuned for that video tomorrow. Peace.